Live from Orlando, Florida, you're listening to the Orlando Magic HQ podcast, the voice of Magic fans. Join us every week for a unique fan perspective on all of the latest Magic news and updates. The show starts now.
What's up, Magic fans? Welcome back to another episode of the Orlando Magic HQ podcast, brought to you by the Believe Podcast Network and Bet Online. We're your hosts, Al, myself, Anthony, and in today's episode, we're talking free agency. The Magic will exceed the luxury tax threshold for the first time since 2012. But luckily for us, we got a little breathing room. We're underneath the second apron, and we can make some additional moves in free agency. We got the taxpayer mid-level. We have the mid-level exception. So the question that I have to start off, before we even get into free agency, when we take a look at players like Mo Wagner and Caleb, Al, what are your thoughts? Are we bringing back Mo? Is this a player that you believe the Magic should be bringing back? Or are we keeping our guy?
So let's back it up a little bit and say, hey, Gary Harris, as of right now, not coming back. Corey Joseph, not coming back.
Bye-bye.
As of right now, that could always change. So the remaining options for the Magic is to decide what to do with Caleb Houston and what to do with Mo Wagner. So what I will tell you is, if I was a betting man, I would bet a significant amount of money to say that Mo Wagner will be in Orlando this upcoming season. I can pretty much lock that in. I feel that confident on that. I can pretty much also say that Caleb should be back in Orlando as well. Fairly cheap contract. As a guy that we've been grooming. He's proven to be a streaky shooter, but when he's on, man, he is on. And guess what? When we need him to step up, he steps up. When a guy gets injured, whatever, he can play, not make mistakes, hit the open shots. If he can be a little more consistent, man, he'll be a great role player for a long time in this league. So I think in this case, I can see both of them coming back. The only way they don't, or at least Caleb doesn't, is if the Magic have already kind of agreed with a guy. We know how this happens in the NBA. You can't start talking until June 30th at 6 p.m. BS. We know that they're already talking to free agents and agents and things like that. So if they have a backdoor deal with a player already, like we've heard rumors already about certain guys that are being linked to Orlando, and they need the cap space and the roster spot, then maybe we don't see Caleb coming back. But Mo Wagner, in my opinion, we will see the team potentially decline the team option, only to bring him back later on using the bird rights. But in my opinion, it's a lock. What about you? Is there a world where you see Mo Wagner not coming back to Orlando?
It would be hard for me not to see Mo back in Orlando. Mo has $11 million left in his contract for this year. It is a club option. Yeah, I can definitely see us declining that option and then renegotiating the contract. Mo is a player that, in my opinion, is a necessity. He's that player that you can throw out there that is going to nag the hell out of you. He's easily the most unlikable player on the roster, unless he's on your team. Right, he's definitely that player that is going to get under people's skin. He's created a knack for it. He's great at it, but his production off the bench is so huge for us. There's been so many times where he's been leading us from an offensive standpoint, from grabbing rebounds, and his dynamic that he has with Franz, it just works, man. And right now, especially with free agency and, Paolo Banchero, hopefully soon we hear the news of the extension. But we're going to need players that are on a cheap contract that can outplay their contract. And Mo Wagner is definitely that player. My concern with Mo is, obviously, we all saw like little clips of his documentary that he had with Franz Wagner, is that, does he really want to be with Franz his whole NBA career, right? It's as the big brother. Does he feel valued as an NBA player? His contract, obviously, this contract was bigger than the first initial one that we brought on, so he's proven himself at this point. Does he want to continue that with us? And I think that that's definitely a question that he has to answer. But it would make the most sense, man. He's coming off of a pretty nasty injury. And he does so much for this team. Like, I don't even, obviously he's Franz brother, but this isn't like Giannis's brother on this team, right? It's not like Thanasis. It's completely different element. Mo Wagner produces for this team, and not having him on the Magic, in my opinion, would just not be something I would want. I want him to be a part of this team long term. And again, contract wise, I think that it would benefit the Magic so much being a cheap contract and adding a player that would bring so much value. Same with Caleb Houston. Caleb Houston is going to be a super cheap contract. He's a shooter. He's has size on him, and he already understands the flow of the Magic. He already has the relationship with the players and the coaching staff. And if you're looking at your 13th, 12th, 13th, 14th player on your team, Caleb Houston can definitely fit that role, no problem. So I'm expecting for both of them to be back for sure.
Yeah, and for those again that are listening, so Mo Wagner and Caleb Houston, the Magic have to decide by June 29th, which is Sunday afternoon. My understanding is before the end of the day is when they have to make that decision. So midnight of Sunday night, because then on Monday at 6 p.m. free agency starts. So we'll know here fairly soon. I think between tomorrow, which is Friday, and Sunday, we'll hear some updates about that. And to your point, I forgot about that. Paulo Banchero, we got to hear about the extension. And don't be surprised if we hear about that also between now and July 1st, which again, that's a guaranteed thing. Like we know he's going to sign the max extension with the Magic here fairly soon. So we're about to get really expensive here in the next few weeks. And we're locking in our team. So for years, we were rebuilding for years. We were, not sure who our guys were going to be. Well, guess what? Jalen Suggs, Desmond Bane, Franz Wagner, Paulo Banchero. That's the core. Now we need to figure out who are the guys around them, like Mo Wagner, in my opinion, that are going to be here for a long time. I think that Mo, again, to your point, Ant, it's a necessity, man. I think we need him to be a guy that offensively off the bench brings us what we need as far as that production, man. 15 points, 18 points a night when we need him most. Against the top teams in the league, he always shows up and plays well. You cannot afford to lose that. So hopefully they'll come to an agreement. Hopefully he values playing in Orlando, playing with his brother. I think that's a plus in this case. So I truly, truly hope that we can see him stay in Orlando for a long time.
Yeah. So then the next question would be, what do you want the Magic to do? What are you looking for? Right. Corey Joseph is somebody that I believe is pretty interesting because when Jalen Suggs went down, we didn't hand the keys over to Anthony Black and say, all right, go ahead and lead us at the point guard position. It was publicly announced it's point guard by committee. And Corey Joseph, for the most part, did a really decent job playing point guard for us. So this is your third string, running the point for us. So you take him away, and obviously you don't have Cole Anthony anymore. What do you do in that position? So the Magic obviously are going to need to bring in a veteran point guard. Question is do we bring back Corey Joseph? Is there another player that's out there that's available? A player that I'm looking at is somebody like Tyus Jones that was on a very, very cheap contract with the Phoenix Suns, can shoot. He's undersized himself. So how does that dynamic work if you're bringing in Tyus Jones and then you also have Jace Richardson? So I think that's an interesting dynamic, but he would easily be a top available point guard in free agency. So again, when you're taking a look at free agency, who are you looking at? What are you looking for the Magic to do, and what makes the most sense?
I still think that we need more shooting. I'm not sold that, adding Desmond Bane and Jace Richardson is a solution, right? I think we need some vets that can come off the bench and help us out. Ideally, in a perfect world, that would be a guy like Gary Harris, a guy that's a vet, is a great, locker room guy, great shooter. However, you and everyone that listens to our podcast every week knows how I feel about him. It's a guy that unfortunately you can't rely upon, a guy that just won't shoot the ball for some reason. One of our best shooters, but he would not shoot the ball when we need him most. So if you ask me, man, you got to look at guys like Malik Beasley in free agency who killed it for the Pistons last year. Can we steal him from Detroit and bring him to Orlando? Caris LeVert is another guy that is going to be a free agent. He played for the Hawks towards the end of the season. Great scorer off the bench, can shoot it a little bit. Luke Kennard, another guy. Tim Hardaway Jr., Gary Trent Jr. Like there's so many, in my opinion, French kind of rotational vets that can shoot the ball in free agency. That's why it's shocking to me as I'm sharing the screen here right now and showing you guys the depth chart for the Magic right now. At this moment, if we bring back Mo Wagner, as you expect, and Caleb Houston also returns, we only have one roster spot to fill up. And that's it. We're done for the offseason pretty much, unless a trade happens.
Mhm.
And that is where I'm like, something's got to change here, because I don't think that Jeff meant all we're doing is making that Desmond Bain trade, acquiring Chase Richardson in the draft, and that's it. We're running it back. Like, I think there's more to what needs to be done. So more to come here. Is there a trade? Is Pitatse on the block? Is JI, who we've heard plenty about being in the trade block, is he a guy that we might be looking to trade? So those names that I listed are key free agents to me, that if we can steal one of those guys, man, that would be ideal for us. What we need is a better Gary Harris. And by that, I mean a healthier version of Gary Harris, and a guy that when he's open will simply shoot the ball, 5 times a game, 4 times a game. And ideally not need the ball in his hands. I want the ball to be in AB's hands, Jalen Suggs, whoever it is that's playing with the second unit as a point guard. They need to initiate the offense. But what about you? Are there any names that I didn't mention that catch your attention that we should be targeting?
Yeah, I mean, the name that we hear or have been hearing pretty often is Nickeil Alexander-Walker. This is somebody that can easily come off the bench, had a really good playoff performance, that can shoot the ball, that can give you some offensive production, and is somebody that was battling with SGA, and obviously their family. So it's good to see them battle. But could this be somebody that we can pry away from Minnesota and add to our team? When we look at our production last year from the 3-point line, we're obviously one of the worst teams in the NBA when it came to our shooting. You don't turn that around with just one player, right? Desmond Bain is going to be able to bring so much more production shooting the basketball for us, right? But that doesn't turn everything around. He can't be the only one. Obviously, it's going to take a lot of development from our guys returning and them getting better from shooting. But yeah, you're definitely going to have to bring in some free agency that's going to allow for us to be able to, continue with our strategy of trying to be able to stretch the floor a lot more. And so something definitely has to happen. But where is that? Where are we going to find the space for it? So I do believe that there has to be another move that happens. I see on our notes as a player that we see as that could be available, somebody like Chris Paul. I would love to have a veteran like Chris Paul coming off the bench and being able to lead our second unit and bring his veteranship and be that floor general. Obviously, I heard a podcast of him recently talking about how he's at a point in stage in his career where he just wants to be closer to family, and that's the most important thing to him. And his family lives in LA, so I don't see that specifically happening. But being able to add a floor general coming off the second unit, and being able to step up in case something happens with Jalen Suggs again. That's just the reality. You hope that Jalen Suggs can have a healthy season, but if he doesn't, you're going to need to be able to have somebody off the bench that can fit into and step into that role, and do that streamlined so that it doesn't hurt us. Like, we don't want to just say that our season, Jalen Suggs is hurt, so now our season's out the window, and we can't rely on that. So the Magic are definitely going to have to be active in free agency. And Jeff Wellman already talked about that he plans to be active in free agency. So what is that going to look like? Who are they going to target? When we had this conversation before in the past, who are the Magic going to target in free agency, they ended up signing Joe Ingles, right? Somebody so left field that we didn't even think about. So it's going to be fun to see Monday at 6 p.m. When free agency opens up, who it is that they target, because it's going to be a quick grab. Everyone's going to try to get to these players first. You mentioned it earlier; they're already having these conversations. So I'm interested to hear as we get closer to Monday, who the Magic are looking at, who are they targeting, who they have interest in.
I'm gonna give you one sneak guy that if we can somehow steal him and bring him to Orlando, I would be over the moon. This would be assuming that we trade Goga or JI for that matter, and that is Brook Lopez. He's a guy that I think we've always wanted in Orlando. People like the fact that he's a big body, he can stretch the floor. So when you talk about trading defense for offense, maybe a vet that can be a voice in the locker room, champion already in the NBA, has a home in Orlando. He would be a perfect fit in Orlando again if we make some moves and need a backup big while Mo Wagner returns. And even when he returns, you can play him and Mo Wagner kind of next to each other since they space out the floor so much. So kind of keep an eye on him. He's a sneaky target for me for the Orlando Magic. And one thing I do want to clarify for listeners or those who are watching on YouTube is that at the moment, with the way things stand, what we have available is the taxpayer mid-level exception, which would be approximately 5.7 million. Doesn't seem like a lot. So that will have to be a player that, again, is maybe older, wants to be in a winning environment, chooses to come to Orlando. We could potentially make trades, whether that is Goga, that is Jay Howard, that is Jonathan Isaac, and then get the mid-level exception, which will open up about $14 million in salary. That, again, would be the mid-level exception. If that happens, that is where I see us going after Nickeil Alexander-Walker, potentially maybe a guy like Dorian Finney-Smith, more of that younger potential, more of a guy that's ready to play and contribute now. So keep an eye on that too. If we make moves between now and Sunday and on Monday midday, that tells you they know something that we don't know, and we may be bringing a guy to Orlando that we don't expect, or just simply a better player than we may be anticipating. Otherwise, it may have to be an older guy that's just simply trying to win. But yeah, it's going to be fun, man. I think that we need to make at least one or two more moves. But definitely exciting times, man. The Magic are finally going for it. The East, again, is wide open. This is the time to add some key pieces, man, because this team is ready to win.
Yeah, so what to look forward to? So obviously Monday, June 30th, 6 p.m. free agency begins. And then early July, we're looking at Summer League. August, we're looking at the season schedule release, and then late September training camp starts. So offseason definitely underway. NBA Finals, OKC, being able to see a team like OKC that won it, that just as young as we were, and for them to be like super far ahead and small market team and seeing successful, it gives you so much more motivation and excitement towards this season. You mentioned it earlier, the East is wide open. Unfortunately, due to injuries, the Magic have an opportunity to make a lot of noise. When I hear the conversations of, predictions of who's going to be up there next season, I continue to see people discussing and saying the Orlando Magic are up there. So Magic have an opportunity to be able to take advantage with free agency and see how far they can take it and how aggressive they can be.
Yeah, man, it's going to be exciting. Last thing before we close it out, what are your thoughts? Do just predictions wise, do we make one more trade, or do we sign a guy that we don't expect, as like a Nickeil Alexander-Walker, or a guy that maybe it's out of left field that may be a better player than we anticipate coming to Orlando? What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, so I really want us to bring in a vet center, either a vet center or a vet point guard. We definitely need to bring a player in here that can shoot the ball. So Nickeil Alexander-Walker is somebody that we keep hearing, and it's somebody that I wouldn't be surprised if that's the first name that we pull up, right? I like the idea of Brook Lopez. He is a lot older, so I would say Nah is probably your primary, where I think that we have a really good shot at bringing him in.
I think so too. I think I wouldn't be surprised if we do a trade, maybe whether it's J.I. or Goga and Jay Howard. I don't think we get much back, but the idea would be to open up cap space to sign a guy like that. So we'll see. The good things that we'll have answers here pretty quickly. But again, I think the Magic are on the right track here. I don't think this is the roster we'll see, the depth chart that I showed earlier, that's it. That's going to be our roster here come training camp. I think there's at least one or two more moves to make. And man, it's been an A++ offseason for the Magic already, starting with the rebrand. We haven't talked about the whole Alex Martins thing just yet. We'll save that for later. But the Magic are making the right moves, man. I think that it's exciting. Again, the East, we're being predicted to be one of the top three teams in the East. We're being favored to potentially make the NBA Finals next year. All I'm going to say is I'm going to end it with this, man. We started this podcast in 2019. It's our first time doing a show heading into a new season where we can actually say, man, we're actually going to be contenders in the Eastern Conference. Like, we may be playing next season, May, early June basketball, which again for us is new territory. So exciting times for us, exciting times for all your listeners who've been through with us through the struggles of watching Chuma Okeke and watching all these guys, Ken Burge play for us and start for us. It's been a journey, but hey, the better days ahead, that's for sure.
That's right. On that note, man, I appreciate everyone for listening. Free agency right around the corner. We'll catch you guys soon.
For all the latest Magic news and updates, visit OrlandoMagicHQ.com and follow us on Instagram at Orlando Magic HQ and on Twitter at OMagicHQ. Also, remember to subscribe to our YouTube channel and subscribe and leave a 5-star review on your favorite listening platform.